And welcome back to another episode of The Final Buzzer. I am your host for tonight, Mr. John Filkowski. You know me as Filk. Yeah, my government name below. Follow me on Twitter at 92 in 82. A reference to Wayne Gretzky. You can watch the ramblings of a hockey-crazed lunatic or madman, whatever you want to call me on there. So, yeah, I'm back. Another episode of The Final Buzzer tonight. There's a lot to unpack in this game. There's a lot to unpack. We're going to go over some previous stuff, too. We're not just going to talk about tonight's game. We're going to talk about some previous things, too, because I've missed some time on here. So I'm going to go over a couple of things before I really get into tonight's analysis. But this is a big win. And it's an important win. And it's not just because it stops a streak and it's a win, but it's important because, excuse me, this team has had a lot of trouble playing 60 minutes of hockey lately. And although they didn't play a full 60 minutes in this game, they tried to play as much of that 60 minutes as they could. And even when they got down and they looked disappointed and looked like they were ready to kind of just throw their arms up in the air and quit like they have in previous games and lose them, they decided that they were going to fight through it and they were going to come back and they were going to make things happen. And that's the difference between tonight's game and the previous games. Against the Islanders, they let up that one goal at the start of the third period, and they were just in their own heads after that. And then against Boston, they were in that game, and then they let up a goal, and they ended up losing it. And it seems like throughout this season, and even last season, I was saying this, but they were getting ridiculous goaltending from Igor Shesterkin last year. They weren't getting 60-minute efforts. And I could think of two games this season in which they gave you 60-minute efforts at both ends of the ice. The opening night against Tampa, where I thought they were locked down, and then Philadelphia, which they outplayed them for an entire 65 minutes. And Carter Hart played out of his mind. The Rangers hit 5 posts in that game. I was at that game, but with Marc. But, I mean, this is a big win because of efforts. And I just don't like what I'd seen from this team prior to this game. Even in some of their wins, they were just the defensive lapses, the breakdowns, the boneheaded plays, dumb penalties. I mean, the officiating has been bad in some of them, but even the previous game against Detroit came back, and they ended up beating them on 3 unanswered goals to win that game from Detroit when the Rangers had a 2-0 lead at the Garden. So for the Rangers, this is big, and it looked like for a minute that this team was lost. Like it to me, it felt like when David Quinn lost that locker room, that's what this felt like with this team. It felt like something was just not clicking, and like Gallant was not getting through to them. Like Chris Kreider's efforts all season have been subpar. Like he's looked like an even worse version of Chris Kreider of years past, where you were waiting for him to get hot for those 5 to 10 games and really dominate, but you knew that 15 to 30 game cold streak was going to happen afterwards, where you're just like, where is this guy? And we gave this contract to this guy. So, I mean, I see you guys in the chat saying things like, it's the dads, they would never do this in front of their dads, keep the dads out. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's what they needed. I mean, Henrik and Valaket were talking about it in the post game, and they were talking about how it's kind of like a reset for you as a player to have dad come out and watch you play. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe they finally got the message. I don't know, but this is the best effort I've seen in a period from this team in a very, very, very long time, maybe even in my life. And no, you know what? I'm not fully convinced that they're back on track either. And I agree. I don't even want to see 3 to 4. I want to see 5+ games, and maybe not in a row, but I want to see in a 10-game span. I want to see like 6 or 7 games where their efforts are this good and they're playing well. And you know what? Hopefully the lines have something to do with that. But I want to see efforts, and I haven't seen efforts all year. They. You know what? You're right, Lou. Rome wasn't built in a day, and maybe tonight's the start of something. But I'm not going to be totally sold until this team decides that they're gonna give you at least 45 to 50 minutes of hockey, of really good hockey, on a consistent basis. And that doesn't mean win all those games. Like you can't expect you can't expect them to win every game, but you've got to skate. You've got to play like you want it. And that goes from everybody from the top to the bottom of that lineup. So, but I'm going to go into my usual thing here, because I'm gonna get rid of the negative aspect for a night. But I just wanted to let everybody know that while I'm happy about this win, I'm still a little skeptical, and I'm still not completely there yet. But you know what? We're getting there, hopefully. So you know what time it is. I'll play the clip. Yep, I haven't done this in a while, so let's get right to it. You know what it is. Good, bad, and the fugly, but we don't have any of that tonight. So Adam Fox, 4 points on tonight, or in tonight's game. Shaky start on defense. Detroit's one of the Detroit goals was because he didn't get back, and he got caught up ice again. And I'm just going to say it right here instead of saying it in the bad part of the wrap-up. But Adam Fox has got to be better defensively. He cleaned it up as the game went along, but we need consistent two-way efforts from Adam Fox. I'm not asking for 4 points every night for Adam Fox. It's just not possible. It's not. But give me good, solid defense. And if you get a point there, great. If not, okay. But I'll take the defense at this point, because they need to clean up in their own zone. And towards the end of the game, Adam Fox got better as the game went along. He looked shaky defensively to start off the game, and he got better. Maybe that's just getting reaccustomed to Ryan Lindgren, even though they've played together for so long. It's been about a week or so that he hasn't really played with Lindgren. So when you play with somebody new, you got to adjust to their style. So it's a big thing. Like don't fool yourself, because I've been there before, going from playing somebody that I was really comfortable, or playing with somebody that I was really comfortable with on the other side on the defense pairing, to playing with somebody that I really didn't know as well, and having to adjust everything about my game to be able to make sure that I could play with that new partner. So it is an adjustment. I will say that. So that's a big thing for me. He got better as the game went along. 4 points. I mean, the play he made on Mika Zibanejad was on Mika Zibanejad's opening goal. That was ridiculous. And that play is such. I want to be able to explain this in the right way and word in the right way for everybody, but that play develops in a split second. And in the NHL, in order to be a good goal scorer, you have to be able to, one, find dead space, and two, if there isn't dead space, you've kind of got to create your own dead space. and get separation. And that doesn't just apply for, shooting and finishing, but it applies for making plays as well. And in this case, Adam Fox gets the split second of separation that he needs to make the pass to Mika Zibanejad, who then creates the split second of separation necessary to be able to get that shot off just by moving back a little bit in that bumper position that he was in to fire off that one-timer. Like that play, it's such a precision play, and it happened so quickly. That's how good you have to be to make it in the NHL. And to me, it's just, I can't overstate it because it doesn't look like a lot when you're watching the play happen. But as a player and being in those positions to get that shot off or to make that pass, that's really hard. That is really, really hard to do. So for me, hat goes off to Adam Fox. He really had it offensively, though. Like he was feeling himself. Like he looked like the Adam Fox of 2019 through the first half of last year offensively. He was making plays, cutting in and out of people, hesitation moves, selling deception left and right like it was going out of style. I mean, that was the night Adam Fox needed. So I just actually wanted to add another little note because I forgot something here. So I'm just going to type this up real quick as I'm talking to you all. I mean, it's just what a night from Fox. And I honestly, we need more of this from Adam Fox. Adam Fox has got to step up and he's got to be a leader. Because I thought that one day maybe Adam Fox would be one of the leaders on the team. So I would like to see more games like this from Adam Fox. Happy that he did it. But yeah, and you know what? I didn't have a bullet point for this, but I'll stick with this right now here. Libor Hajek was actually pretty good tonight. I can't lie. Libor Hajek was pretty good tonight. He was solid. He had one play in the third where he was kind of fumbling around with the puck a little bit. But, yeah, I could tell you right now that he actually played well. He was solid. It's not even the goal. I mean, I had a bullet point about him scoring, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But just, I thought his all-around play, I thought was actually all right. Like he looked like he moved the puck all right. Like it wasn't like he was doing anything like really like special with the puck, but he was moving it and advancing it, and he wasn't getting into trouble with it, which is really all you want from a third pairing defenseman. That's all you want. You want a guy that makes an okay first pass, gets it out of the zone effectively, not spectacularly, but effectively. And that's what Libor Hajek did tonight. So, you know what? Hat goes off to Libor Hajek, sponsored by True Hockey, by the way. And yeah, I have nothing bad to say about Libor Hajek for once. Shocking, right? But I'll move on from Adam Fox. And then Mika Zibanejad puts up a show for Mika Zibanejad. See what I did there? Yeah, I know. Very punny. But yeah, I will say that Mika Zibanejad decided to put on a show. His father, you saw him in the pregame reading the lineup card, the starting lineup, which I thought was pretty cool. And considering that Mika is fluent in like 6 different languages, so seeing Mika Zibanejad's dad read off the card, Mika Zibanejad. I don't remember his actual name. I'm just calling him Mika Zibanejad because it's great. But Mika Zibanejad has to be on the road with the team or has to be at more Rangers games because Mika played very, very well tonight in his 700th NHL game. 2 goals and an assist, I believe, in the game? Oh, excuse me. So, yeah, Mika has been playing great two-way hockey all year. He's looked great in his own zone. I know he's probably not going to win the Selke because they'll probably give it to Bergeron. He'll probably become the only guy that'll ever win it 6 times in his career. But Mika Zibanejad is playing as good as two-way hockey as anybody right now. So, yeah. I loved his game. He looked like he really wanted it. And he's a guy that he's one of the only guys that I would consider for captain, because I don't like Jacob Trouba as a captain. I'm still not convinced. But Mika Zibanejad is a guy that leads by example. So, yeah. I will move on from Mika Zibanejad. And then Ryan Lindgren, welcome back. Solid return for him. Sometimes defenders are not judged by the things that they do. Sometimes it's when you don't hear them said or you don't hear them mentioned. That's when they're playing well. Like a guy like Marc Stahl at times, when you didn't hear him mentioned, or a guy like Kevin Klein, when you didn't hear them mentioned, that's when you knew that they were playing well. Ryan Lindgren wasn't mentioned at all for the most part, but he played surprisingly well, and he didn't look rusty at all. He really didn't. He moved the puck well out of his own zone. He even looked like he had his legs in the offensive zone when he was moving the puck, when he would go in deep. So, yeah, I will say that Ryan Lindgren had himself a hell of a return. Really did. I'm going to agree with this comment here from Maddie. Mika and Trocheck are great two-way players. Yeah. Yeah, when you have two solid two-way players, yeah, I would agree. And just because we're on Ryan Lindgren, I'm going to highlight Osberg's comment here. Lindgren is the glue. I kind of agree with this. He seems to be like the glue with this team. He is a true lead by example guy on the ice. He is the closest thing that the Rangers have had to Adam Graves. Say whatever you want, but that's how I think of it. So, yeah, they played very, very well with him in return. So yes, I definitely agree with Osberg. I think he happens to be the glue. And the Red Wings had no answer for the reunited kid line. The kids were back together, and the Red Wings just did not have an answer for them all night. Every shift they played was in the offensive zone, the kid line, because they just got it there. And there was even one play in the third period where Hedl made a defensive play in his own zone. The play went the other way into their zone, into the Red Wings zone, into the offensive zone. The puck then went out. The Rangers went back in with the kid line again. And then Hedl went off for Zibanejad, who got a real good scoring chance at the very end of that shift with Kakko and Lafreniere still on. So for me, the kid line they scored tonight, and Alexis Lafreniere had 2 assists in the game. They looked great. Dirty goals, just shifts all over the place in their offensive zone. The puck possession between Kakko, Lafreniere, and Hedl was just phenomenal. They look like 3 kids who just enjoy playing together and just go out there and they just skate hard. They like playing with each other. And no, Tom Kravtsov did not get hurt again. He actually had an assist on the Barclay Goodrow goal, and he made 2 plays to make that play happen. So we're going to talk about. Speaking of which, because we're on kids, so I'm going to talk about Vitaly Kravtsov, and I think he had the best game of his entire career. And I know he only had an assist, and I know he's had games where he's had goals, but Vitaly Kravtsov played a real good two-way game. He made plays happen. He was noticeable, and he got better as the game went along, and he got an assist because, like I said, he made 2 plays to keep the puck alive in the offensive zone to get the puck with to Artemi Panarin behind the net. And then Artemi Panarin made that pass, that ridiculous pass to Barclay Goodrow, who made that awesome move and tight to score on the backhand. So Vitaly Kravtsov, this is what we need from him on a nightly basis. Now, I'm not saying he's going to have an assist every night or that he's going to even play well every night. But the efforts need to be there, and he looked engaged tonight. He looked like he wanted it. He looked like he was interested. I was happy to see that. And this is what this team needs. Because if Vitaly Kravtsov can stick on that line with those two, with Panarin and Trocheck, then I'll tell you right now, this team is so much better going forward for having the lines that they had tonight. And I'm not a fan. With that said, I'm not a big fan of Jimmy Vesey in the top six on the top line. But if that's going to balance the other three lines out to the point where you can get production from all four lines, then that's what needs to be done. And this is it right here. This is it. Right steps for Kravtsov tonight. The right steps. And, Lou Bat, you said Rome wasn't built in a day. Same thing with Kravtsov. Can't build it in a day. But you know what? You gotta start somewhere. So that's a big game for Kravtsov tonight. So and speaking of lines, fourth line had its best performance of the season. So this is what happens when you get rid of Ryan Carpenter and Ryan Reeves. Who would have thought? It's just you can't have two guys that can't keep up with the pace of play in the lineup. It hurts the team. You can't do it. You can't have guys that can't skate. And you know what? Someone mentioned call up Riedel before. You know what? I would be all for having Gustav Riedel as the 13th forward. But something tells me that they would rather play him in Hartford, getting big minutes in Hartford, than have him being the 13th forward. If they still had Dryden Hunt would probably be that 13th forward. But you can't have Reeves in the lineup as a regular anymore. And I like Ryan Reeves. I do. I think he's a great locker room presence. I think he's a great human being. I think he's a great teammate. And you know what? There are certain situations in which he can be useful for. But you just can't have him as a regular anymore. I'm sorry. I don't. Maybe some games to spell some players to keep players rested, but you can't have him as a regular. And Carpenter, it's the same thing. Carpenter may be able to play some defense and win some faceoffs, but he cannot skate to save his life. He can't. He's just so far behind the play all the time. So, and David, this is basically kind of what I'm alluding to. There are certain things that you can get Revo in there for. The bigger teams, the heavier teams, a team with, someone who you might have to worry about as an enforcer, like a Nick Delorier when you play Philadelphia or someone like that, But again, Reeves is not somebody that you can have, especially against teams with four lines that could skate. Like, you can't play him against the Devils. The Devils are going to eat him alive with their speed. I mean, it's going to look like Zdeno Chara in 2006 against the Buffalo Sabres in the playoffs, where they ate him alive and they made him look like a turnstile. So, again, yeah, Revo's been a non-factor. He really has. Even with his improved speed, I mean, he's still been a non-factor. I don't see how you can bring him back into the lineup, especially with Julien Gauthier, who, again, had another great game. Julien Gauthier has been noticeable since they've called him up and put him into the lineup. And then you have Sammy Blais, who played the best game of the season after I called him a nothing burger on Twitter the other day. I call him a nothing burger, and he responds like this. I think I'm going to continue to shit talk players, because every time I seem to shit talk one, they seem to kind of just turn around and shut me up. Chris Kreider, I did it. I've been doing it too. And what did he do? He had one of the better games of his season so far. So Chris Kreider, that's another thing. Chris Kreider looked dead, like he looked like a fish out of water for a lot of the year. And then tonight he turns around and a slow start in the game. He gets better as the game goes along. And a lot of the team did, to be fair. But Chris Kreider has got to be a guy that leads by example. He's got to be. And he can't continue to give you the efforts that he's given you for most of this year and in years prior to last season, where you had him hoping that he would break out for those 10 to 15 games, but you knew you were going to have to deal with that 20-game slump that he was going to go in after he was done. So, Chris Kreider, I want to see more efforts. Listen, I'm not saying he's going to get 2 goals or a goal and 3 assists every night or something like that. It's not realistic. I get it. And neither is a 20% shooting percentage. But, I mean, he went on to score 52 goals last year, and the efforts picked up. And last year, okay, so in October and November, he was scoring goals, but the efforts away from the puck weren't there. Like, he wasn't playing 60-minute games. I just need him to start playing 60 minutes of energized and engaged hockey. So, and you know what? Since I'm trying not to get too far off topic because we were supposed to be talking about fourth line. But, yeah, maybe Blaine needs to get more time to get into game shape. He didn't play for a year. He did lose weight, they said. So, I mean, he's coming back from a major knee surgery. But, again, you know what? Maybe this is what Sammy Blaine needed. So, I am with Mike on this. He needs to show that he can play more than 15 games in a row, more than 40 in a season. That it's got to be the case. So, but the fourth line was really good. Julien Gauthier got a goal out of it. Their shifts were really good. Detroit didn't have an answer for them. I was happy with the fourth line performance. If the fourth line continues to play like this going forward, then even if they don't score goals, they give the opposition something to deal with for 10 to 12 minutes a game. And that's what they want to do. We weren't getting that out of the fourth line all year this year so far. So that's big. And Libor Hajek scored. You know that's funny. I literally posted on Twitter that the Red Wings had to fold after that goal because Libor Hajek scored. So take from that what you will. Laugh about it, or if you're a Red Wings fan, get mad. Whatever. It's a joke, but Libor Hajek scoring is just kind of a microcosm as to how well things went for the Rangers tonight. And yeah, sometimes it is better to be lucky than be good. So I'm gonna move on from that just because there's not a whole lot more to say about it. SJ Miola literally just made this comment about fantastic third period tonight. And yes, someone hit the awesome button in the third. 6 goals in the span of 11 minutes. 11 minutes. But you know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. And they scored in all sorts of different ways. A lucky deflection, Libor Hajek. A dirty goal, Mika Zibanejad in front. Julien Gauthier, another dirty goal. Barclay Goodrow, an amazing play off of the pass from Artemi Panarin. I mean, you're scoring with skill, with grit, with luck. I mean, whether it's puck luck or sometimes, and they'll tell you this, the best players get the puck luck because they make their opportunities happen. So I'm actually with Core on this, and yeah, and a Jimmy Vesey shorthanded goal too. By the way, breakaway, that was a great thing. They played better from a systematic standpoint as well, as they actually pressured the point more, which led to more scoring chances, kept the puck out of their own net. Yeah, that is a big part of it. The other part of it is kind of just defending in your own zone properly and being in the right positions within your own zone. And that's the biggest problem. Like the other night in the Islander game, the Anders Lee goal happened because Keandre Miller let Anders Lee skate right behind him to the other side of the net and he didn't pick them up. That's why that goal happened. And Miller's been really good defensively for the most part all year. But that was one of two mistakes he made in that game. And that's the one that hurt them. So, you know what? It's little things like that you've got to pay very close attention to. The details on those little plays have to be precise. They have to be tight-knit. And they haven't been all year. For the most part, they were tonight, but there were a couple of breakdowns. But the Rangers did play better defensively overall in this game than they have in a very long time. Even when they won in Dallas, when they had their offensive outburst in Dallas, the defense wasn't great in that game. It wasn't. And Dallas is a good scoring team. Jason Robertson's going to score goals. We know that. Jason Robo is really, really good. He is one of the best young players in the entire league. But you still got to be better in your own zone. And they weren't. But tonight, they had a real good defensive effort overall. And they were cashing in a lot of different ways offensively. And when you score 6 goals in 11 minutes, something's going right. So you usually don't score 6 goals in a game. But 6 goals in 11 minutes in one period? Damn, and in Colorado, I think, just scored again, actually. Yeah. They are, and the panel is just laughing about it right now. So Mikko Rantanen, I think, got that one. So, yeah, I'm with you on this too, Cord. A lot of rebound goals, and they cleaned that up. Anders Lee goal was a rebound goal. So, and yeah, you know what, David? I'll give you this. Igor has not been himself, and I said it yesterday in the main show. He hasn't, and he's got to be better. And I think even he knows this. But I will agree. Trouba has been a momentum killer. Yeah, I would say that he was okay. And you know what? I'll take okay from Trouba at this point, considering how bad he's been this year. This is actually a great point. And Core kind of brought this up and opened up the discussion on this before. But yeah, they haven't been getting to the points. The Pulock goal, or I think it was Pellick, I'm sorry, the second Islander goal, at the beginning of the third period the other night, that was because they didn't get to their point men, and the coverage has been bad. And yeah, and you got to have a 60-minute commitment to back checking as well. Alexis Lafreniere has been he's been a revelation because he's been getting back on a lot of plays. There were 2 different 2-on-1 or 3-on-2s that I saw that were developing, and Alexis Lafreniere got back into position and actually got back into the right position on both of them to make those to break those up and to stop an odd man rush. So when you start seeing young kids make plays like that, that's a really, really good sign for a team. Because 1, it means that they're buying in, and 2, the efforts are there. So really what this team needs is the efforts. And yeah, listen, Matt, I'm with you here. It's annoying to watch because they play well for a while, for like, let's just say 20, 30 minutes. And then they have 1 or 2 bad lapses, and they end up as high danger chances that end up in the net. And it's annoying. It sucks. But, I mean, here's to hoping that Igor comes around and he starts playing more like the Vezina winner we saw last year. So, I have other things to go over. And what even strength struggles? They scored 6 goals in this game at even strength, 1 shorthanded, 1 power play. 6 of the 8 at even strength. And they got an even strength goal from each different line. Think about that. Each different line got an even strength goal tonight. That's impressive. That's very impressive. So, I love the efforts at even strength. I mean, they had problems scoring at even strength this year. Mika Zibanejad actually got his first even strength goal. So maybe that breaks the schneid for him offensively at even strength. So you need a lot of production from a lot of different players. Well, I should say you need increased production from a lot of different players. And this actually went a long way tonight. So the penalty kill looked real good too. Yeah, that's something I didn't bring up in a bullet point. But yes, I will agree with this, Mike. The penalty kill definitely looked good. I'm going to star that comment from you, David Wood. We'll get back to that in the TNA part. I'm thinking wrestling here. The Q&A part. So we'll go with banners. More banners. I got 2 others. 3 others, rather. 12 different players score. 8 of them had multi-point games. I think that's the most I've seen from the Rangers in a very, very, very long time. So, yes, Kreider had a power play goal. Yes, his was the power play goal. But Mika Strength. Even Strength, Mika Zibanejad had a goal. The second line had a goal at even strength. The third line had a goal at even strength. And the fourth line had a goal at even strength. So, let's see here. Where was I? Oh, yeah. So 8 of them have multi-point games. 12 different players score. That's production that this team has needed across the lineup. So when you have games like this where you get the type of production that they received tonight from all different sources, it's infectious. And it's just like when a player goes out and has a great shift where he goes out, he throws a bunch of hits, maybe even scores a goal at the end of it. That's infectious. Players feed off each other. That's how teammates work. And this could go a long way for this team. It really could. And it needs to, because it needs to happen now. American Thanksgiving is coming up. So I will reserve judgment, because I can't say that I'm back, but I'm definitely believing a little more that this could be the start of something good, but I'm not ready to commit to that yet. I need more consistent efforts from them going forward. So that was the good.
That's good.
Now we go on to the bad. The defensive lapses, they need to be minimized. It seems like, as we talked about before, every time they make a defensive lapse in their own zone, it ends up being in a high danger area and ends up in the back of the net. And really, that's unacceptable, but it continues to happen. And if that's going to continue to happen, then these defensive lapses need to be minimized big time. Big time. So I'm going to say that Ryan Lindgren being back can help that out big time. Excuse me, but you need more from guys like Fox. You need more from guys like Trouba in their own zone. And those have to be the guys to lead the charge on defense. Keandre Miller is a third-year player. This is his 3rd season. He's been playing defense for 6 years, maybe 7 in total. But something's got to give with Jacob Trouba. If he's hurt, he needs to sit. So, and this is what I was saying before. I mean, the mistakes are ending up in the back of the net. Yeah, and Trouba's positioning on the second goal was bad. It was bad. I mean, he played better after that, but you gotta be better than that. You know, you gotta be better than that. And he can't be constantly running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Keandre Miller's covered up for a lot of his mistakes this year, but Keandre Miller cannot continue to do that. And yes, Keandre Miller is to blame on that second goal as well. He turned the puck right over. Instead of eating it like he should have, that's a young mistake, but that's also a mistake that Keandre shouldn't be making anymore. He's in his 3rd season. eat the puck there. You have the size, just eat the puck. Have your teammates come out and help you out there. So you can't just throw the puck away like that. And Valaket and Lundqvist were talking about it, in between the second and third period. And they were talking about how Miller looked completely unsure of what to do with that puck there because Trouba probably wasn't in the right spot. But if you're unsure, you have to eat the puck. You can't just turn it back over into a high danger slot area chance like Miller did. So these lapses, they're all mental. They're all here. And part of it is because they're not moving their feet. So you got to move your feet and you got to be in the right positions. And if you're not buying in and you're not bringing your lunch pails to work, then these things are going to continue to happen. And they can't. This ship has to be righted very, very soon if they want to make the playoffs. So this division's airtight. The Flyers seem like they may be able to, or they might be starting to fall off a bit. But the Devils seem like they might be for real, and the other teams in the conference, the other teams in the division are still there. Pittsburgh's not going to continue to lose however many games in a row. They won last night. But, I mean, Washington, they're going to be an up-and-down team, but they're going to be in the mix. They're going to be competition. And who knows if Nicholas Backstrom comes back, during the season at any point. That's a big boost to them. And then Carolina, they're going to get Max Pacioretty back probably towards the end of the year. So you got to worry about Carolina because Carolina is still a good team. And then I don't think the Devils are going to win the division, but the Islanders, they're going to be in the mix too, and they're going to be competition as well. So there's probably about 5 teams in this division that are probably going to fight for the division title. And if the Rangers want to be one of them, then they will have to be better consistently than they've been. So good for the Rangers. But these defensive laps need to be minimized going forward. So, and this is another thing we talked about before. We need 60-minute efforts. So, I'm not happy with the efforts overall this year. Tonight was not even close to a 60-minute effort, but you know what? They ended up really, really turning it on when they needed to. So I'm happy with that, but I can't harp on this point too much because we've already spoken about it several times, but you need 60 minutes of hockey. You're not going to win playing 30, 20, 40, 45, 50, 10, doesn't matter. You need at least, I would say, 55 minutes of good hockey. So, and got to start accumulating points now. This is the time to do it. So, Brody, what's up, buddy? Isles be lost, but they'll be in the mix. Atlantic is better. Yeah. I mean, Boston is going to be a force to reckon with. Florida will be in the mix. Toronto, I think, will eventually get some of their issues straightened. But, the Atlantic is still an interesting division. So I'm just going to go over some of these. Schedule lightens up a bit, thankfully, so this could be their confidence builder. Yeah, you know what? I'm with you on that, Court, but at the same time, they played down to Arizona and barely beat them. And I know Arizona just shut out the Islanders 2-0 tonight, but you can't – this team has a habit of playing down to their competition. So these could be trap games, so let's not overlook them. I will I posted about this, David Wood, the Eichel Hattie. I actually said that he would be a great WWE heel champion with the way that he was trying to get heat from the crowd. I'm with you on this too, Mike. Miller was better when he was skating the puck up and moving it out of the zone. I agree. I think he needs to be more assertive. He wasn't assertive enough tonight. Not his best game. Let's see here. Brody's bringing up that Goodrow has 3 points tonight. That's a really good stat. Alvalanka, welcome back. Yeah, they looked like they had their legs tonight. I definitely will say that. So this is a funny one from David. If the kid line is together for 10 years, when do they get too old to call them the kid line anymore? And here's the better question, David. What do we call them at that point? So Matt says it's not the skill that is a problem with this team. They can create and put the puck in the net. It's the mental side. Yeah. And that's to me. You have to compete mentally. Like you've gotta make sure that you're engaged mentally. And that's the problem I see with players like Chris Kreider, is that he's not there mentally. I don't know what he's going through right now. I mean, tonight was a better game for him, but you've got to be better than this. I'm probably going to go for another like 10 or so more minutes. I'll probably go until about 11 o'clock just because definitely a little, you can see it. I'm trying to fight the tiredness, if you will. The kid line forever or the AFK line. When I was growing up, core AFK meant away from keyboard. And yeah, that was us talking to each other on AIM back then. So yeah, that just goes to show you how old I am. So, and yes, like Mike says, please like, share, and subscribe. We would appreciate that here at Big Apple Hockey. I know I've been slacking on content, but, try to get some things in. But sometimes there are just times where you don't want me after a miserable loss. You really don't. So I probably wouldn't I wouldn't feel like you're missing too much when you have me after bad losses like Tuesday, because that was just I was not happy. I think I might have punched something on a stream and might have broken something live if I went and streamed that night, because I was not happy with that game at all. But I'm glad AFK is still used. So I don't feel as old, but I still feel old right now, especially being tired like I am. Yeah, I saw you say this before, Mike. I entertain your wife with my rants. I'm glad I'm entertaining in that regard. So kid line got to stay together for the rest of the year. Loving how Kako is playing. Hito coming back has also been a big addition. Couldn't agree more. You're on the money tonight, Matt. Tuesday made me flip my chair over. Yeah, I think I saw you say that in the stream yesterday, Core. Rest in peace, AIM, gone too soon. Music. So actually, this is an interesting one. Maybe the Rangers feel like these games don't matter until playoff time. Well, you know what? If you're going to pull the New York Yankees of like the years ago and decide that you really want to kind of just they're breaking down the Mika Zibanejad goal right now on NHL Network. They're breaking down Fox's little hesitation move on Pia Suter. He absolutely just takes Pia Suter out of his jock. I think Little Caesars might have a smelly jockstrap hanging up somewhere in there, because Pia Suter got dangled out of it. Oof, what a move by Fox there. The little hesitation, how do you do? And then Zibanejad, who Suter engages, Suter turns around, and he's already probably about 6 feet back, and that's where he gets the space. Just watch it. There you go. Bang. Goal. Bang. Bang. Yeah, and you have to be in the playoffs to phone it in until the playoffs. You're right about this, David. David Wood, I should say, because there are other Davids in this chat as well. So I can tell you right now, this team's plan cannot be to phone it in until the playoffs. And I get why they want the energy. Look at the spin move there on Fox. The spin move backhand pass. And they're just drawing circles around this. You have to be watching NHL Network because this is the worst use of a telestrator I've ever seen in my life with these circles. Oh my God, this is great. This looks like somebody gave a coloring book to a kid and put it on a TV. This is amazing. If I was high, I'd probably be tripping balls right now. Oh, man. But, yeah, they're breaking down these plays right now, and it looks good. And just this pass by Adam Fox, and he gets former teammate Andrew Kopp to bite really, really hard on that move. Oh, man. Oh, man. Even with third line minutes, kids stay fresh, and now they're dominate more and more as the games progress. I think I'm Matt Manolarich said it before, and I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Matt. You're Polish like me. I'm sure you understand it, and I'm also bad with pronunciations. But that kid line has to stay together. They have to stay together at this point. And I know it's one game, but there has been a lack of bottom six scoring all year from this team. And you're not going to win games when you have two lines that score and they need to be on the power play to score. It's not a winning formula. This is. So, yeah, and you got to keep the two guys with cement boots for skates out of the lineup too. Sorry. I'm with Core on this. I want to know why Trouba is playing through an injury. Yeah, I figured I screwed up your name. Sorry. I'm sorry. Just it's bad. Either way, the effort isn't there for the most part. They need to be more consistent. I agree. But yeah, Trouba, he's got to rest if he's hurt. He's got to rest. It's November. Now's the time to do it. So we'll go about 5 more minutes. So get some comments in, questions, even suggestions, even if you got things about the wrestling world that you want to comment on. I mean, there's some cool stuff that's happening. Saraya is back. I'm happy about that. She's going to face Britt Baker at Full Gear, which I was supposed to be going to, but I will not be going to because I had my cousin's engagement party. Oh, man. And I ordered those tickets months ago. But I can't miss that engagement party. My cousin's like my little brother. I'm super happy for him. Super happy about the party. I just wish Full Gear wasn't the same night. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on. You know, in hockey right now, Blackhawks are facing the Kings in LA. There's a penalty. Jason Dickinson got taken down, and now he's going after Blake Lizotte. That's weird. Does Judge accept the Yankees qualifying offer? No. No. He doesn't. What did I think of the new Megadeth album? I actually love the new Megadeth album. And I went with my friend Kevin to that show at Jones Beach. It was Megadeth and Five Finger Death Punch. And somehow Five Finger Death Punch ended up headlining. We didn't stay for them. But Megadeth was awesome live. It's the first time I've ever seen them live. And a few weeks after that, I saw Judas Priest with Queensryche. And that was an awesome show too. And that's all Coliseum. So, yeah. Awesome show. Awesome album. There was one bad song on that album. And that was, I'd have to pull it up here. I'm sorry. I think it's Mission to Mars. It was the song. And I just thought that was the worst song on that album. But there's so many good songs on that album from head to toe. From the Sick, Dying, and the Dead. The Sick, Dying, and Dead, the title track is awesome. Life in Hell was awesome. Night Stalkers was awesome. Dogs of Chernobyl was great. Sacrifice was good. Junkie was really good. Psychopathy was really good. Killing Time was good. Soldier On was good. Celebutante was good. It was Mission to Mars was probably the worst song on that album, hands down. And We'll Be Back is great. That was when I heard that single, I was like, wow, like this is like thrash metal Megadeth coming back. Like it's also like a kind of a bring back, like a back to the roots, thrash metal album. So for me, when I heard that single, I was like, oh, okay, maybe this might be their one song on this album where they go back to their thrash metal roots. No, the almost the entire album is like that, which is awesome. Loved it. Big fan. Big fan. And I loved their cover of Police Truck too. I saw that, I was like, no, this can't be. When I did my first listen through, I was like, this can't be, Dead Kennedy's cover. And then I hear the and I'm like, oh shit, Tony Hawk 1 all over again. Friggin' awesome album. Hat goes off to Dave Mustaine, who I absolutely adore. I idolize him as a musician. He's one of my all-time favorite musicians, top 5, I would say, maybe even top 3, right up there with Dave Grohl. I love James Hetfield as well. So, Dave is a genius, self-taught guitarist, one of the best self-taught guitarists ever. And they came out with a great album, and they were so good live. They had one song where I thought that they sounded bad on live, and that was Trust. And it was because you could barely hear Dave singing because they turned up the guitar amps a little too much. And just great show. Great album. Love it. I hope Megadeth releases more like this going forward. So, and you know what? I hate you. And I say that in the nicest way possible because my friend Kevin was at that show too. The one that I went with to Megadeth and Queensryche and Priest. So, I wanted tickets for that Maiden show, and he didn't get me one. So, yeah, big mad still because I've never seen Maiden. Megadeth is one of my probably my number 2 favorite band all time behind Metallica. I don't care what anybody says. I love them both. I enjoyed both of them. Hey, Dan. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully you're doing better with the knee. But yeah, I haven't been doing a whole lot of these lately. I've been trying to, but just kind of been a little tired and a little annoyed lately. So I'll try to do a better job of doing more of these. This Planet's on Fire is a very good song too. I do agree with you there. But yes, Sean, absolutely check out the new Megadeth album. I have not listened to Slipknot's new album yet. I have to do so. I'll have to take the time. I'll probably do so tomorrow, and I will give a review on that the next time we talk. And I will let you know what I think. World Needs a Hero, I thought was a decent album. Definitely not anywhere close to their best, but definitely better than Risk. I would probably put that as a bottom 3 Megadeth album for me. So, I love early Avenged Sevenfold. The first 2 albums are actually, I'm sorry. The first 3 albums are really good. And City Evil, I thought was a really good album. Hey, Diane, how you been? But City of Evil was a very, very good album. And Backcountry, I think, literally might be their best song. You have a song that's so phenomenally well written between the instrumentals, the song writing itself in terms of the lyrics, the tone of the song, the timbre, everything in Backcountry is it's one of NHL 06. Yes, yeah, I have that on my NHL. I have an NHL EA Sports playlist. And that's, NHL 06 has another one. Yes, I know Volbeat, and I've seen them live, and they were pretty good live. They do a lot of Johnny Cash covers because the lead singer loves Johnny Cash. So I saw them at Carolina Rebellion 2014, and they were really good live. And Still Counting is just a fucking excellent song. Love that song. I can't, when I go places and I don't like the people that I'm around, I usually play that song out loud just because I'm just like in the moment where I'm just like, I hate everybody here. So if you ever hear me playing Still Counting around a bunch of people, you know what my mindset is. So yeah, Sean, it was definitely a dominant beatdown, at least in the third period. Ooh, most surprisingly good band that I've ever seen live. Wow. I'm only going to say this because at their age, they shouldn't be able to be this good, because I think they defy nature to be this good at their age. But Judas Priest, holy shit, did they ever kill it? I was blown away by how good they are live. And you know what? You can have studio albums and still sound great, 50 years into your career, because of mixing, mastering, editing, tuning and whatnot. But Rob Halford, at what, 70 years old, I think he is. I want to get an exact age on Rob Halford because I don't know his birthday right off the bat, but Rob Halford is 71 years old. 71 years old, and he could still hit those banshee scream like high notes and hit them live and hit them for an hour and a half set. Like, what? Like, how is that possible? How is that possible? He sounds so great live. It's amazing. I don't understand it. I don't. You should not be able to sound like that at 71. How? I'm literally just floored. I was just going nuts at that show. I loved it. The only thing that I will say about that show that disappointed me is that they did not play Diamonds and Rust. And that's my favorite Judas Priest song. The Unleashed in the East version of Diamonds and Rust is probably one of the best live performances of any song that I've ever heard. Such a great performance. And that includes David Draymond on, I think it was Conan O'Brien, when he did The Sound of Silence, which is considered by many to be arguably the greatest vocal performance of any vocalist live, at least in rock and metal. So, no, I have not listened to Dave Grohl's Dream Widow album yet. I will have to do that because I absolutely adore Dave Grohl. I have a huge soft spot for David Grohl. I love him. I absolutely love him. I just think he's a great human being. I think he's an excellent drummer. I think he's a great songwriter. I think that for a band to be able to play the same sound and the same type of music for an upwards of 20 to 30 years, and to be able to churn out hit after hit after hit and solid album after solid album, to do it at the level of consistency that the Foo Fighters have, there are only a few other bands that could say that they could do that. Like U2 did that for like 3 decades, where like the 80s, the 90s, and the 2000s, they had albums that were really good and that had major hits on it. And the Red Hot Chili Peppers is really the one other band that I can say, wow, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers put out albums in the late 80s that were really good. The 90s, they absolutely dominated the 90s, even though they took a big break. But you have that, and then you had the 2000s where they had By the Way and Stadium Arcadium. Yeah, but I mean, the Foo Fighters have really established themselves as one of the very near the top tier rock bands of all time. And I am a huge fan of Dave Grohl. I do not like any of the Maiden albums without Di'Anno or Bruce. It's not a fit for me. It really isn't. The early to the mid 90s Maiden after Fear of the Dark, and even Fear of the Dark was kind of like a drop down from the albums before. Like they had a few good songs on there. Fear of the Dark, Afraid to Shoot Strangers. I'm drawing blanks on the rest of the album right now because I've got so much shit going in my head. But The Apparition, I believe, was on that album. I'm trying to pull up their that's an album that I don't really like listen to as much as some of the other albums with Maiden, especially the earlier albums. Oh, From Here to Eternity, yeah. Be Quick or Be Dead is the title track, yeah. Or not the title track, the opening track. Brave New World was a very good album. Brave New World was like, okay, Dickinson came back and they came out with some really good albums. Like The Wicker Man was a really good song. Ghost of the Navigator is probably my favorite song on that album. Blood Brothers, Out of the Silent Planet. They had some really good songs on that album, Brave New World. So I that's like, to me, there's a gap between Fear of the Dark and Brave New World that I really don't listen to, like Virtual 6 or whatever from Maiden, where I really wasn't a fan. I gave it one listen through and I didn't like it. I really wasn't a fan of it. But the early Di'Anno albums, like the self-titled and Killers, and then obviously Bruce's run up into Fear of the Dark, those were all great albums. So welcome back, Johnny. I said I was supposed to end this about 10 minutes ago, and then we ended up getting into a music discussion, so I kind of got sidetracked. But Sign of the Cross or The Klansman for the better Maiden song? I really don't have an opinion one way or the other here. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really gonna go one way or the other on this. I'm sorry. I mean, I just don't. I could go with either or. There, it doesn't really matter to me. But I will say this: I do have to see Maiden before they retire, because my biggest regret is having a chance to see Rush a few years ago, and I passed it up. Or 2 Minutes to Midnight. Definitely 2 Minutes to Midnight. Power Slave is a great song, though. That, to me, Power Slave is their last like elite level album. When you have a song, you have an album, you get classics like Aces High, Power Slave, 2 Minutes to Midnight. Back in the Village is great. Back in the Village is. If you've ever seen me comment on YouTube, if you've ever seen me comment on like Core's videos or Statboy Steven and Tyler's Rangers review, Yeah. My screen name is actually, and it's my Instagram name too, but I just typed it in the chat. If you ever see me comment on a YouTube video or anything like that, it's XAces11 or XAces11 High X. And it's a combination of multiple references. It's a reference to the Iron Maiden song. It's a reference to poker, because Aces High is a poker term. And 11 is ace, pocket aces. 11 is also Marc Messier, who's one of my top 3 all-time favorite players. So that was my AIM screen name. So yeah. Or that's how far back we're going. That AIM screen name is probably about 20 something years old, maybe even 21 or 2 years old. So yeah, that's my Instagram name and other stuff. If you ever see me commenting in videos around YouTube and stuff like that and other hockey feeds, that's me. But yes, I absolutely love Aces High. I think Steve Harris's best bass work is on that song. I love what he does in that song. Wrathchild is another really good bass track. Love Wrathchild. That's one of the best Di'Anno songs. One of my top 3 all-time favorite Iron Maiden songs is actually a Di'Anno song. It's Phantom of the Opera. I love Phantom of the Opera. And many people I know that are good guitarists tell me that Phantom of the Opera is one of the hardest songs they've ever learned how to play on guitar. So yeah, Phantom of the Opera, definitely a classic of mine. Love the guitar solos in that song. Love the layout. Those are 3 of my favorites right there. I love Queen as well. If you're talking Queen, I've got to talk about Brian May's guitar work on songs like Princes of the Universe, because I loved the Highlander show on USA as a kid growing up with Adrian Paul as Duncan MacLeod. So that was the theme to that show, was Princes of the Universe. Love that song. And Brian May's guitar work in that song is absolutely phenomenal. His guitar work in Stone Cold Crazy, which Metallica covered on Garage Inc., is also incredible. But I think Brian May's very best guitar work is not on Bohemian Rhapsody, but it's on Somebody to Love. His guitar work on Somebody to Love is just God tier level. God tier, and you would never believe it. Just listen to the song closer. Just Freddie's vocals are just out of this world. Out of this world. But Brian's guitar work might even be better. Hot take, but it might. If I could go back in time and see 3 shows, Woodstock 69, Metallica Day on the Green 1985, and Queen at Live Aid. And I would absolutely kill to see Queen at Live Aid. I wish I could have been at that show, because I would have absolutely killed to see Freddie just absolutely go nuts on stage. Live Aid 1985. Yeah, that would be. I always tell everybody that those are three shows that I've absolutely would kill to be able to go back in time and see and experience. So, yeah, I wish I could have seen Ozzy in the 80s too, or Black Sabbath in the 70s. So, yeah, and this is what many people say. Queen at Live Aid was probably the greatest live performance ever. They were that good. They were that good. And just unbelievable. Foo Fighters played Wembley back, I believe, in 2008. I think it was. I would have loved to have seen that as well. But yeah, that was they played in front of, I think, 80,000. So yeah, Motley Crue in 2005, 2006. That's pretty cool. You know, I mean, they from what I've heard from a lot of fans, they still have it, but definitely would have loved seeing them in the 80s. And they are just absolutely still wild as hell crew. So that's awesome. But yeah, I'm gonna log off. Thank you all for coming on with me. Gave like an extra almost 20 minutes, talking about music. I could get sidetracked on music and talk music with you guys almost all night. But no, you know what? No, I didn't see Dio, and I love Ronnie James Dio. I think in terms of powerful vocalists, for a guy that was like 5'2" or 5'3", whatever the hell he was, he had the most powerful vocals I've ever heard in my life. I love his work. Yeah, he's absolutely incredible. So, between like songs like Rainbow in the Dark, Last in Line, We Rock, Don't Talk to Strangers, yeah, just amazing vocalist. Just wait, Dio played with Yngwie Malmsteen? Ooh, what a show that had to be. Malmsteen's incredible, man. He is a legend. And I know there's a lot of people out there that are, that might be into like metalcore and gent and other, subgenres of metal that, trash on Malmsteen because they hate shred guitarists like that. But Malmsteen's a virtuoso. He's a true legend. There are not many guys that can play like that. So I actually got to see Linkin Park twice in my life. I was happy about that. Considering that 5 years after I saw Linkin Park for the last time, Chester passed away. So, but yeah, I would have loved to have seen Motorhead, but didn't get to see them. And yes, yeah, you guys have been. I saw you guys both in the chat saying this. Yeah, I thank God I haven't been getting those. Thank God the election's over. So, but again, thank you all for joining me. I appreciate it. I'll try to do more of these. I was fighting off being tired there for a minute. I'll try to probably go to sleep, and I'll probably still be up. So, excuse me, but you know what? I'm happy that they won. Let's see more consistent efforts from this team going forward. Hopefully, they right the ship. Otherwise, we might have to start having discussions about bomb for Bedard. So, everybody, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for joining. Let's go, Rangers. Have a great night.